No one on Earth was born successful. It's a journey with multiple twists and turns. These are the stories of individuals who may have gotten lost along the way, but managed to navigate back on the right track. You're listening to the Success is Learned Behavior podcast with Evan the Show.
All right, it's another episode of Success is Learned Behavior podcast. I'm Evan the Show, and we're just chatting about success and success stories. You know, success is a journey. Everybody's story isn't the same, and I have a special guest for you today. He is an artist. He's a musician. He's a filmmaker, and he's from San Jose, California. His musical influences include Frank Ocean, The Weeknd, Donald Glover, Anderson Paak, and a whole lot of other folks. On the film side, he's done work for Future is Color, and he's written and directed for SD ACLU. He's done commercials for them, and he spent his years, quite a few years in San Diego, California, just specializing in marketing, storytelling, and helping people find their voice. And he also has a single coming out on February the 22nd, and I'll let him explain that a little further when he comes on. But please welcome none other than the one, the only, Jamuelle.
How you doing, man? That was so grandiose, bro. I gotta tip my hat to you, bro.
Hey, man, grandiose intro for a grandiose dude like you, man. Listen,
stop.
So, yo, the way we met, we met in San Diego at this event called Soul Sunday. And
yes, sir.
If you haven't been hearing the buzz about it yet, I'm letting you know that it's a fire event. Something I've been to plenty of events. Like I've been to award shows. I've been involved in a lot of different things around the world period. And it's nothing quite like this. Matter of fact, San Diego as a whole, musically, I feel like is the best kept secret.
Talk to him.
And this is the dude from Newark, New Jersey, and we got a lot of talented folk out here too. But I slept on the talent. I never even thought of, I know like Andrew Days from there. It's quite a few people from San Diego, but I didn't know how phenomenal the scene was musically there. And I think Soul Sunday embodies all of that. There's multiple artists and the support that they give one another and the professionalism and the showmanship, all of that. It's just a vibe. Like it's an incredible thing. Now, what's your role at Soul Sunday?
Yeah. So first off, thank you again for the praise. Straight up, San Diego is a hidden gem for a lot of really great artists, all around, musicians, designers, you name it,
Sure.
So shout out to San Diego and the community down here. I'm originally from the Bay Area, so my time in Oakland.
Hey.
And you know what I'm saying? My time up in the Bay, I've seen a lot of communities that have thrived from the jump, and this reminds me of that, so I love seeing it. But Soul Sunday, man, Blake Dye, he is the founder and owner. Shout out to my man Blake. They started this thing off back in the day at a coffee house, Public Square in La Mesa. And what once first started out as just like a weekly jam session / show in a local coffee house, they would pack a band in the smack dab in the middle of a cafe to get together for one night every month and show out, you know what I'm saying? Inject some of that culture that we know and love that we've grown up with, whether it be music, art, sight, sounds, the whole thing, and just have a night to celebrate. Once the pandemic hit, we had to, they took a pivot and started to partner up with Courtyard. And Courtyard is a open air venue, fully outside, COVID friendly place where you can come to an event, enjoy music, enjoy live music, have a couple drinks, but still have a safe environment. Especially we emphasize having a safe environment for women because it's a really tough time when it comes to providing safety for that. And also providing a platform for artists to show out. And the special thing is they get to be paired with a full band every month. And we're talking about like a 5-piece band with a full horn section. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I knew that once I caught wind of what Blake and the team was doing, I knew I loved it because it reminded me of my time growing up as a musician in Oakland. And when I was doing shows out in Oakland and Berkeley, I would be performing at open mics. Getting to know different folks, getting to know different people that play different instruments from different backgrounds, that showcased where they were from first as a person, as a human being, and then getting into the whole like, oh damn, you could sing, you could play trumpet, like you do all of that. What the? So it was this perfect alignment when I saw Soul Sunday and came to a show. I ended up being able to perform at Soul Sunday last year, and that was a huge blessing because I feel like
I wish I knew you then, man. I actually did see some of the clips there, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, Jam does that too.
Yes, sir. And
talented, yeah.
Thank you, man. I'll forever be indebted to Blake and the team for gracing me with a chance to pair up with them and perform. And from there, I was like, yo, like, back in the day when I used to do open mics, I used to also help run a few and just make sure there was an emphasis on the artists, on do they have all the resources they need? Do they have the proper communication going into a show? Do they have an onstage beverage? Do they have a tea? Do they have a coffee? Do they have water? And making it really all about the artist. So as soon as Blake and myself started talking about that, we kind of developed this A&R position within Soul Sunday itself, and being able to help make sure that artists that are onboarded to the show feel like no matter what level or position they're at in their careers, whether you're first starting out and first starting to write and getting a couple songs out there, or if you've been in the game for a minute, you're a big elevated star and you're doing the thing, you get the same exact level of treatment all the way across the board. And it's just reminding artists from every caliber, which I think we all kind of yearn for, that we're all human at the end of the day.
I love it.
So that's kind of my role. And I also dabble in a little bit of marketing as well. So shout out to Cam, Christopher Cameron Cambino, like that I like to call him. He shoots everything per show, and I go ahead and do the video editing and production, and I also handle the marketing too. So I put everything up on the Instagrams and all that stuff. So
okay, and it's really top notch. So
thank you.
You're not originally from San Diego. So what brought you there, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh man, I'll be real candid about it.
Cool.
Because you know how you're like, man, if somebody's gonna ask me why I moved down, here's what I'm gonna say. But like, no, I've accepted it. I moved down here originally with a girlfriend at the time, now ex-girlfriend, and God bless her and everything too. We have a good friendship, but moved down to support. And I figured, like, if I'm gonna learn straight up just more about life in general, because like at that point I was doing food, and then I was also figuring out like a whole musician's journey, how to hop into recording studios, how to book shows, all that stuff.
Right.
I need to break out of my hometown. I need to I love it here. I love everything that's going on, but if I'm really going to grow as a human being, like I gotta go elsewhere. I gotta go somewhere where nobody knows who I am, nobody knows what I do, and really find my own way there and kind of redefine, and it's perfect with your podcast, like redefine my own definition of success in my own way too, because that's the only way to break through to the next levels,
That's for sure. And it's crazy that you say that, because it's just like there's so much comfort at home and we get relaxed, and the people around us are so comfortable, and they kind of put you in this box and you kind of stay stagnant and you don't go anywhere. And then when you go into a new environment, and you're talking to somebody, I lived in South Korea for a little stint, right?
What? Yo, that's tight.
Long story. But I lived in South Korea, and it really pushed my a lot of people see me as quiet and things like that, but when I came back from there, I was just ready to talk to everybody, and it just pushed me way out of my comfort zone. So being in a new arena or being in a new land, if you will, just has you feeling like the sky's the limit, because you don't know the limitations there, because it's a brand new place. So you know the restrictions in your own hometown. You know, if I ask this person, it's not going to get done, as opposed to like if you go somewhere else and you ask something, you just like it's supposed to get done. It's almost like kind of like being blind. Like if this is bliss, it's like absolutely bliss when you go into another area. And I've lived in multiple places, and I've had that same scenario and situation. So I definitely can relate to you in that situation, man, for sure.
Very, yeah. It's that thing, man. When you get pushed out of your comfort zone, it's not like I think the thing I was jaded by when I first moved out was like, if I move out, I can never come back home. That's what I was scared of. But it's like,
And it's not the case.
nah, it's not the case at all. When you move out, man, you can't wait to go back home. You can't wait to go
Right.
visit every now and then. You can't
Because
wait
you
to
can
like
share the new experiences.
exactly.
And you
So,
can bring some new insight and some new life into the place that you're at. Like I've come home so many times, like multiple times, and I try to take what I learned from other places and bring it here and try to make my where I'm from better.
exactly. That's the key. I love that. Yeah. You hit it right on the head right there.
Now just a few minutes ago you said you were doing food. Now what does that mean?
Yeah,
You were
I was
doing
doing
food.
hospitality, man. I was doing hospitality. I have
Okay.
a pretty good experience in terms of like running restaurants and dabbling in like I definitely was by no means was I a chef or anything like
Okay, but
that.
still, okay, hospitality that makes sense, and it speaks to like your personality, even with like the stuff you do with the talent. And I've actually seen like the treatment that you've given them, and that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
man.
okay.
And I always encourage people like if you feel like you need some more people skills, go pick up a server job or a barista job because it'll teach you real fast.
It definitely does. I remember quite a few instances where I actually worked at Apple uh, in my younger age, the
Uh-huh.
retail store,
Uh-huh.
and
Oh, retail will set you straight.
oh, it does. And this uh, this lady just humiliated me. She's like, just like everything about me, she just kind of picked on and all of that. It had nothing to do with the computer. She just picked on me, and I was able to like just redirect her and eventually get my manager involved and all of that stuff. But people are cruel to people in retail
Man.
or even in the service industry. Period. It's just like the treatment that and that's why I'm so kind. Well, that's not the only reason I'm kind to people, but definitely people who do retail and customer service. I'm like, I got to give you extra love. I gotta give you
100%.
extra love. So,
100%.
all right. So, I want to know you're an artist, you're a musician, and you're a filmmaker, right?
Hmm.
Um, how do you balance the music and filmmaking?
Oh
How do you
man,
balance that?
that's a really great question. I think it's one that I'm actively trying to not search for an answer because I feel like I had to change my mindset of like searching and reaching to now realizing and recognizing. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh, yeah.
Because it kind of it gives it a different connotation or context. And at first I was like, I thought I was a weird person. You know what I mean? I thought I was weird because I was like, I'm the kid who likes to do 5, 6, 7 different things all at once. Um, a lot of people would think you're scatterbrained. A lot of people would think you can't focus on one thing at a time. But and again, this isn't, how like in the game, in the financial game right now, everybody's like, this isn't financial advice or anything like that. This is my
Right, right.
disclaimer. This is my disclaimer right here.
Disclaimer.
Exactly.
Right.
This is by no means advice, but for me, what I found personally is the more that I started to lean into it, of embracing that I myself, I'm a geek over music. I'm a geek over like Japanese city pop, over bass lines, over songs that sound complicated but are really simple, while also being a geek about like my friend Erwin and I went to go watch Macbeth the other day, and like throughout the whole, and I kid you not, the theater was empty. The theater was
Isn't that crazy?
crazy,
Isn't it?
right?
Because people don't understand. Like I'm a theater guy too. I went to arts high school,
Yes.
and we've definitely we study um classical music and different things like that. And I play piano. I don't usually tell people that, but
Yo, yes, but that's what I'm saying. It's like these
yeah,
little
yeah.
nuances, man. This is what makes you you.
You're
And
right,
like
right.
when you lean into these things, then you feel less pulled by them and more curiously stepping and walking into the path with them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So I found myself like we were sitting there and we were watching Macbeth, and I was like, I can't understand the words because it's like super Shakespearean, but I'm like looking at the framing. I'm looking at that's an interesting choice of contrast in the colors, because it's only black and white, but you can do so much with it if you're like really in that craft, right? And it can make you feel some type of way when something isn't as like straight up like pitch black versus something that's kind of like midnight gray next to a face. Like those little details, right? Like
Yes, sir.
I started to lean into those nuances and those details really in the past like year, 2 years. And it took a lot of like deep down questions and finding myself of like, yo, the reason why I love film and theater is because like I was in choir in high school and I would hang with the drama kids. And by default, like I used to be in a choir pit or an orchestral pit to play guitar for like an Elvis musical. And I'm like, I remember that moment I fell in love with musicals in theater. You know what I mean? And it's like this for me, it's like leaning into it has helped me understand, okay, that's why I like doing this. So that's why I should lean further into it. And it's just been just that cycle. So even with my music, I've been learning a lot of where my influences come from. Like, why do I always write sappy love ballads? You know what I mean? Why do I keep writing in that
They're
style?
needed, man. They're needed, especially in this day and age, man. They're definitely needed.
Exactly. I learned that that's all the songs that my dad would be singing on the karaoke machine as I was growing up in that exact style. And that's why I love it so much. Like I could be the cheesiest love song. It could be like some Celine Dion type stuff. And I will sit there and be like, yes, you know? So that process by default for me created that balance in turn, because I felt out of balance when I couldn't recognize where it was coming from. And I started feeling more in balance when I recognized where it came from. And it became less of a chore or thing that I need to do. It became more of a thing of like, this is me and I get to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like I get to create in that lane and do that. And that's how I got here.
Wow, man. See, so all right. So, how do you respond to people that say, I'm sure you've maybe heard the phrase, "Jack of all trades is a master at none"? Because I find it offensive when people say that, because I do multiple things, but
Right.
everything aligns with what I'm doing. To be honest, but
Yeah.
they wouldn't know that. But how do you
Mhm.
respond to people that say things like that?
Donald Glover. Straight up.
You know what? Yo, he's the perfect example, and now he's an amazing talent. He's definitely, I wouldn't say he's slept on, but I feel like he should get even more credit than what he's given.
Right.
His talent's amazing. He's a stand-up comic. He's an actor. He's a singer. He
Director,
can rap,
writer.
director, right? I love the what was the piece that he did with Rihanna?
Oh, Guava Island. Yes.
That is one of my favorite. Yo, that was incredible.
Yo, and it's like, and if you're not a mainstream moviegoer, you're not gonna like that film, and that's okay. But if you love nuance, if you love little hitches, like little things that are not
I watched it
perfect,
3 times. Yes,
exactly. You know what I mean? You love that movie because it's a standalone film, and you're like, on top of that, you got Rihanna and Donald Glover acting in one piece. You know what I'm saying? And it's not shot on anything like high definition cameras or nothing like that. It feels like an old film you would pick up on a VHS tape,
right.
at a random video store.
At a Super 8, right?
Yeah. And I love that stuff. I think at the end of the day, bro, I guess what I'm really trying to say is like when people ask that question or say that phrase, "Jack of all trades is a master of none," I think the first thing in my mind that pops up is like nuance, man. It's all nuance. Everyone can be a master of whatever they choose, as long as it's within their nuances that they actually want to do. And that's, that hits right there.
That's bar.
Yep.
Songwriter too? All right, now.
Yeah, you already know.
So listen, I want to know more about you growing up in the Bay. Tell me about life in the Bay for you as a kid.
Man, I love it. I you can already instantly tell by how I smile. You know what I mean? And it's not like it wasn't perfect. I didn't grow up with money. I didn't grow up with, all that stuff. But I did grow up with a family that knew how to make something out of nothing, even when you really don't have anything at all. You know what I'm saying? And at some point, my family had something. But then the lesson was, and for anyone that's like religious, like as much as God can grace you with anything, God could take it away just like that.
That's
You
a
know?
fact. Yes, sir.
And you have to find happiness aside from that fact. So for me, growing up in the Bay, I was born in the Philippines. So I was born
Okay.
in Quezon City, Manila. And at 6 months old, my dad brought me over here on a plane with my family, and we lived in LA. It was one of those situations where we had a family friend that my dad was staying with. It was like six of us in a room, and we were just happy to be in the States. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Understood.
I don't remember any of the time that I spent in LA besides the fact that I would play Nintendo 64 with my family friends.
Gotcha.
And you know what I'm saying? And we would play Diddy Kong Racing. That's the only memory I have. Fast forward, and then really growing up as a kid, going to elementary school, going to middle school. I grew up in San Jose. And shout out to the 408 one time, East Side San Jose. And really, it was like a melting pot of so many different types of people from different places. So I'm really looking back at my time growing up in the Bay. Like, I'm thankful that I was able to, and I know it's a privilege, to be able to be in a community that has a melting pot of people from all over the world. So Asians, Indians, or Indians are Asians, white, black, Hispanic, you name it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was all the kids, we grew up with so much empathy and all that because we understood each other's nuance, whether we knew it or not. You know what I mean? Because we would share food at lunch. We would share little things that kids do.
I mean, that wasn't happening here at all.
Man, you know what I mean? And that's why I say, like, I'm super thankful I grew up that way too, because even the teachers were like emphasizing that. And the teachers were emphasizing like everybody comes from different places, but we're all one, like all that stuff and humanity. And I'm really blessed and lucky to really have that experience. And I know that in the world right now, everyone is we're starting to get there, and we need to continue to build. But progress ain't linear. Like, there's some messed up things.
Yes.
A lot of messed up things happening in the world right now. But if there's anything that I'd love to see more of, I'd love to see that and feel that. Because fast forwarding to now, I started doing music in 5th grade. I dropped my guitar on stage at a talent show in front of 300 people, all parents for kids.
Gotcha.
And the front row, which was probably some teachers, they told me to pick up my guitar and keep going and just put my leg on the amp. So I did that. And then afterwards, when I got off stage, they asked me for my autograph as a kid. And like, I think about that moment.
Wow.
I think about that moment a lot now, because it's like you could do the absolute worst thing ever on stage or make a mistake or do something. But failure is like your perception of what happens after, and what you do after with it is what matters. You know what I'm saying? So I carried that with me, started writing music, started doing shows in the Bay Area. Shout out to everyone around that time, where we would be booking shows together, playing at colleges. We would play at Berkeley. One time I played at Davis, and San Francisco, just all around in California. I went to college for a semester in the Bay for sound design. So I went for film scoring. Quickly realized a $5,000 price tag for a summer was not the way to go, because my family didn't have money. and I was just learning music theory all over again. Again, this is not advice for anybody. And I just read
your story. I feel it.
Yeah. And from there, took the leap of faith and took a chance on the curiosity. And it's, opportunity after opportunity came, and that's how I ended up here. So
awesome. So did your love for film come at that time, or was it earlier on, or was it later in life?
I'd say in high school. High school was when film came. It came from using like a Microsoft program, iMovie. It wasn't iMovie.
Was it Movie Maker?
Movie Maker.
I remember. I was on there.
Yes, I used Movie Maker and a point and shoot to make class projects. in high school and middle school, and everybody would be like, I don't know how to edit this. I'd be like, I don't know either, but I'm gonna figure it out. And I started doing that. And then like I got better at it, and then I started using that video editing for YouTube videos, and would do covers in my bathroom as a kid, YouTube covers, and
Nice.
cut them, edit them, put them up, all that stuff. So I was practicing that all like at that age.
Okay. All right.
You just made me realize that. Wow.
Oh man, sometimes you got to go back. It made you trace back your steps, but yeah, that's okay. That makes sense. So you were doing both pretty much. Well, music came first, and then you grew into your love for filmmaking and different things of that nature. Correct?
Yeah, exactly.
So what have been some of your obstacles? Some of the obstacles that you've encountered in your endeavors. And what lesson has it taught you?
Oh man, the one that I battle every day is myself. I think that's the biggest obstacle.
That's a bold answer because people don't like to give, they don't like to throw themselves under the bus. But
man, I'll be straight up with it, man. Like, there's a lot that comes into it in terms of like the mental space you have to have, the clarity, all that stuff. But I think the answer that came to me through reading, through a lot of talking, like to really close friends and family is like, sometimes you'll cut yourself off from the blessings before they come to you because you think you don't deserve it, or that you can never create that thing or write that song or direct that movie, win that award, things like that. So to be able to dissect that and just start off, like I've pretty much like relearned what even my own definition of success is in the past year, past couple of years. I'm sure every creative can like relate to like imposter syndrome. You know what I'm saying? Yes. But I'd say first and foremost, like the everyday obstacle is myself, and that can apply to like even your health, your mental health, all that stuff. Like you got to be the one to take the step out the door to go out for a jog, or to go to the gym, or to write this song. You have to pick up the pen. You have to just apply, right? I would say the second thing is expectations. A lot of expectations have been like the biggest obstacles. And like from a technical standpoint, I think the expectations of like, I want to be a filmmaker, but like, I don't know this terminology, or I don't even know how to use Final Draft, which is a program you write screenplays with, or stuff like that. Right. Or like as a musician, like, I don't know how to do a guitar solo. I don't even know what this scale means or that scale is, or like, how can I ever play guitar solo on a song? You know what I mean? Let alone record my own song.
Exactly.
Once I got rid of those expectations and just, one, practiced a lot, like started applying myself. Like if I didn't know, like I didn't know how to use Final Draft. And I really wanted to write a script for the commercial for the ACLU. And I knew Microsoft Word wasn't cutting it, like using, or Google Word, I sat down and studied the program for like, 3-4 days, 4 hours at a time, and just studied it and like learned the commands, learned the shortcuts, learned this is what to do when you do a transition. This is what not to do when you want to put dialogue on there. I just threw myself in, applied myself, absorbed the information, and I said, okay, it's time. And then I wrote. I put my head down and focused and wrote the whole thing. And I wrote it in one sitting. I think it was because of the commitment that came after I let go of the expectations of I should write it this way, or I should, you know what I mean? Like I should be writing a pop hit, when what I feel like writing today is like a slow, somber jazz. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that cycle for me, or that habit now, has unlocked so many different things creatively. Like when creatives get this creative high, like where they feel like they can create literally anything out of nothing, it's a time where it's like, okay, it's go time. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
So I think those two things, man, just to answer that, it's myself, biggest obstacle, and then also my expectations, and taking responsibility of that.
I appreciate your honesty. I don't know. I think it was Tyrese might have actually wrote a book called Get Out of Your Own Way. Ooh. And I've definitely been learning to accept that a lot of times and a lot of things that have occurred in my life have been my own fault,
Yes.
and I just have to do just that. I have to get out of my own way, and so far it's been working pretty well for me, man.
There, exactly. That's how we got this.
Uh,
You know.
I mean, for real.
Yeah.
Now, I've we haven't gotten to know each other just yet, but we definitely will be soon, especially since I'm moving to San Diego soon. So,
Yep.
but I was scrolling through your Instagram and looking through different things of that nature. And am correct me if I'm wrong, but recently your dad passed away.
Yes, that is right. Yeah.
Well, my condolences to you.
Thank you.
Um, what I do notice though about you is um, you're still pursuing your endeavors, and a lot of people when death happens, because I even know with me, and when people have passed, it kind of completely shook me and knocked me off of the path a little bit, and I got deterred. And I just want to say that I admire how you're continuing to keep going. And I just want to know. I gotta ask, where did you get this drive from?
I Man, one thing that I keep on me all the time, and I'm actually going to give this back to my mom because I feel like this is something that um, my mom got from my dad. But hold on, it's a little blurry. This is a picture of my dad when he was a kid, when he was a teenager. And back then, when he was going through he was about to do chemotherapy, the first round. And I don't know what it was. I trust in God and like his timing and everything, even throughout situations, right? Because some things might feel like they're happening to us and not for us. But I do know that there was a miracle within everything that happened. I got time to sit down with my dad and at the dinner table one of the last times, where he could actually like physically stay up and talk and hold his own. I asked him everything about his life. Asked him straight up, like, who are you before us, before me, my brother and sister, and before you met mom? And he shared with me his story, and how many different things he did. And it all started, one of the first things he did was music. There's even a picture of him singing for a competition on stage with like a Filipino straw hat, a sachet and stuff. And he's singing on a microphone to a crowd. And I realized then in that moment, like that's the thing. That's my answer. That's who I am. It's embedded in me. As a human being, as every fiber of me knows and loves music. And I get that from him, and I think some of the last moments that I shared with my dad, and thank God for my family because we were all together and were able to spend the last moments with him. One of the biggest things with him was just this feeling of not affirmation, but I felt like the way that he passed the torch to me was through that, because he always encouraged me to do music, even when it wasn't making any money. You know what I mean?
Right.
But he would tell me, just be smart, do your thing, make sure you go out and do that because you need to take care of the family and stuff like that. But I think it was just that feeling, that deep feeling of my dad passing that torch on to me, that it would be like a disservice if I didn't pursue it. You know what I mean? If I didn't carry the torch, if I didn't follow the love and passion that is now around me and surrounding me with all things music. I think that drive comes from there's no technical thing about it. There's no metric. There's no amount of success that could take me away from it or put me in it. And that's how I know that that's a lane that I'll forever be in. And even when the going gets tough, you know what I'm saying? Because boy, does it get tough, But I think that's where I get my drive from, man. I think it's combination of knowing that that's what my dad passed on to me, and also knowing that that's the only music is the only thing that I feel like truly aligned with. That's what I know, you know. So yeah, thank you for asking that, and thank you for acknowledging too, because man, it hasn't been easy, you know, with my dad's passing, and I think before he left, he gave me the blessing to pursue it full time too, because of some things that I can't talk about on this podcast, but people will find out about soon. So yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, thank you for being open enough to, you know, share that with us, because I'm sure that'll help someone else that is definitely going through the same exact thing. But I just, after seeing that, and I think I saw you maybe not too long after I saw, you know, what happened, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
man, he was just in good spirits. He didn't, you and everybody heals differently. Everybody heals.
Right.
So it doesn't make you weak or anything like that if you are, you know, in bed all day or anything like that. But you seem like you were definitely in a good place,
Man.
especially after losing someone just so important to, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
now,
Thank you.
yeah. I believe everything that you're continuing to do. I don't know your dad personally, but I'm sure he definitely be proud of how you're continuing to pursue. You know.
Man. Thank
Um,
you.
Speaking on pursuit, let's go on a lighter note. I want to know what your personal. This is success is learned behavior, and I believe that everybody has a um different definition of success. We all try to make it the same thing. A lot of people try to make it this grandiose thing. It's all, you know, money, or it's degrees, or it's something else. But everybody has a different definition, and I want to know what your personal definition of success is.
Mm. Oddly enough, I mean, it's different for everybody, right? Like you
Yes,
said,
sir.
like you prefaced it. I think at the root of success, true success is joy at the end of the day, and happiness, acceptance, awareness. So it's something that, as lucrative as it can seem, it's actually right there in front of you the whole time. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because we can get lost in metrics and goals and dollar signs and dollar amounts and stuff like that to define the success within ourselves. But for me personally, I think success is finding the purpose that you know, that you eat, sleep, and breathe with, that you know is you. And that's different for everybody. But like finding that, having complete and utter faith in it, and falling in love with it and pursuing it. That, in my opinion, that's what I feel like success is for me right now. Because I'm a big believer that like your ancestors passed down so many different things by living their lives to then help you find your purpose and find your success. And to recognize that is to recognize your own power. And I think it can't be defined by anybody else besides yourself. You know what I'm saying? And there's levels to it. There's layers to it. But I think you yourself have to believe in the success within you before you can find it anywhere else. And that's truthfully all that matters. You know what I'm saying? And success doesn't have to be the thing at the end of your life. In matter of fact, it should never be the thing that's at the end of your life. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like that's how you get to a situation where you regret like not being able to stay in the pocket of time that you're in. Because like losing my father taught me all about like, I thought success was, before I go home and spend time at home with my family, I need to have this amount of in the bank account. I need to have this career. I need to have this, that, the other, this, that, the other. And it took me away from my family for that amount of time. And I don't regret anything. But I think we need to restructure this relationship that we have with success being at the end of the road, and success actually being every step along the way of the road. Holy crap. I just got like chills about that. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Like if you think about it, every step is successful because you got to wake up today and breathe. You got to wake up today and think. You got to talk to such and such. You got to do this, do that, do all of these things. As long as you follow the golden rule, don't hurt nobody and don't do nothing dangerous.
Yes.
That would put people at jeopardy. But like, success is with you every step of the way. You just got to see it in that way. Success will never be this thing that you punish yourself with. Success will always be this thing that you actually walk with and can walk happily and with joy and with curiosity and wonder. That I think is what we have strived for, but it's been right in front of our faces the whole time.
Man, bars.
Man,
you're dropping gems this entire episode. I got so many little sound bites I can use for promo and all that. But
hey man, I feel like it's not even me at this point. I honestly feel like I'm talking through my dad's perspective, because he lived a life. He lived a long life. He lived a really great life. He was making figures at some point. He was the hottest realtor in the game at some point in San Jose.
Okay.
But towards the end of his life, like, and he shared it with my sister, and it was like, you know, I never got to really raise you three up the way that I could have, because I thought that I had to go out and do these things and become successful. Mm-hmm. But he almost got a second chance with raising my sister's kids, the grandkids, and he realized success has nothing to do with any metrics out there. It just has to do with the time you're spending right now.
Whew. Yeah. Oh man, that's great. That's probably going to be this episode's title for sure. That's
Come on now.
Going to be. Now, with all of that being said, I love how detailed you responded to that question. I want to ask you, with that definition, do you deem yourself successful according to that definition?
Yes, I definitely do. I think with all the trials, tribulations, all the ups and downs, all the whether people view it as like a step back or a step forward, I think I know it now, that I feel successful, and I feel like success is within me. It's just my responsibility and my commitment now to make sure that I apply myself to that success that's within me. So, and you know, like, we have so much life to live, yet we need to cherish every moment. So I'd rather live every moment feeling that success than feeling that I'm not worthy of that success.
All right. Well, Jam, I just want to say thank you for being on and accepting my invitation to come on this podcast.
It's an honor.
And I want to ask for you to just let people know how they can get in contact with you and what projects you have coming up very soon.
Yes, sir. First, again, shout out to you, because honestly, this podcast is so dope. I feel healed, like, even just talking through stuff, and it's the way that you guide and curate the conversation. Also, your setup is mad crazy. I love it. You know what I mean?
I'm hard, man.
Yes. Shout out to you, man.
There's a lot of crazy things going on. You got to do what you can do to make it look good, you know?
Hey, man, game recognized game. Sure. Yeah, man. I think right now you can follow me on Instagram at jamuelle.z, JAMUELLE.z. You can follow me on TikTok. I'm doing a lot of stuff on TikTok now, because it's just, for me, I'm treating TikTok as an active diary or active journal, to then document my pathway right now. Because I think for me, I would love to see people I would have loved to see Gary Vee from the very jump, before he reached now, and he even says it, like, he wishes he started from literal zero. So I'm starting from my what I'm kind of coining as like my basements to billboards type of mentality. Shout out to Russ, because he said that in an interview before he did his thing. But right now, what I'm currently working on is getting ready to drop a song per week for at least 2 years, and beyond. Yep. So I'm working on that. Incredible. So you can find me on Spotify. You can find me on Apple Music. I'm using United Masters. If anybody's on there, link me up. Let's link up. Let's talk about different resources and stuff. Because I do feel like now, being an artist in the independent realm, there's more resources and tools. I know that there's so much more game that I need to learn as I'm going through this process, but the basis of it has been like, I feel like I've been in a cave for the past like 2 months, just writing, producing, mixing, mastering all my own songs. And when I first said I was committing to a song a week for 2 years, I was very, very intimidated by it.
Yeah.
And then like after spending these like 2 months just locked in and focused and zeroed in, I look back up, I organized my song release sheet. I have like 30 songs ready. So it's all about preparation. So and I'm documenting that journey across my platforms too. And there's some films that I'll be working on that you guys will know about across those platforms as well, that are going to be hopefully coming out on streaming platforms for sure, but also in theaters too. So a lot of different things in the works. You can catch me at Soul Sunday and at Synergy, part of the team. And straight up, just shoot me a message, text me, tweet me, do whatever. I'm open. I'm an open book.
Perfect. Once again, man, thank you so much. And thank you for dropping those gems and all of that knowledge and wisdom. I really appreciate it. You even helped me in this time we had this discussion. And for all of you that are just learning who I am, I'm Evan the Show. That's EVANTHESHOW all across the board. You can visit successislearnedbehavior.com if you want to learn more about this brand. You can follow us at SILB Brand, SILB Brand on Instagram. And thank you for your time and thanks for watching.